Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. And, well, we come to the last Ridley Scott film, part of Ridley Scott Movie Week. And I'd say probably the best was saved for last. And, as I clearly teased in the last review video, you obviously figured it out, but yes. So that's right, guys. And I'm not doing this alone, because joining me is my dad, aka Little Blue. And seeing as how we did review the first film, now here we are, finally, at long last, reviewing the long-awaited sequel that nobody even thought of and asked for. But, hey, I think it was worth it, and yeah. So that's right. Again, to close off Ridley Scott Movie Week, me, and along with my dad, aka Little Blue, we are now reviewing from 2024 Ridley Scott's Gladiator II. Yes. So Gladiator II, like, again, as I said, nobody could have imagined, expect, and asked for a sequel to the first Gladiator film, because the first one was a masterpiece.
Yeah, it was.
And, well, because when, unbeknownst to a lot of us, that apparently, because, you know, a sequel to Gladiator was in the works, and at some point when it was announced, but until, yeah, publicly announced, and from there on, just, yeah, it seemed pretty exciting. But with the exception, of course, that we would, of course, get no Russell Crowe, obviously.
Right.
But the first things we have to say about Gladiator 2, why don't we start with you? The first things you have to say about Gladiator 2, take it away.
I was impressed. I was surprised. I went into it with really no expectations. So usually when I go into a movie like that, it's either going to be up or down. So this was, you know,
Yeah.
as the Caesars would do at the end of a Gladiator match, it was thumbs up for me.
So it was thumbs up for you.
It was thumbs up for me, very much so, because it was a movie. It was a good follow-up to the first Gladiator. It was a sequel, but it was a really good sequel, really well done.
Yes, it was.
Very good storyline.
And as for me, because, well, I mean, obviously, me having finally gotten around to having watched the first Gladiator film, and I'm pretty sure this was, I brought this up when we did our review of the first one, where each you and my mom just begging me to watch the first Gladiator film, which of course I did eventually, and yeah, because I thumbs up, of course, and with when we reviewed it and how much we enjoyed it and such, and you know, of course, because the first Gladiator film would be in your top favorite movies, would it?
No, it's one of my top favorites. Yeah.
Including the opening is one of your top favorite openings to any movies.
Yeah. One of my top favorite openings to any movie of all time.
Yeah, but go check out our review of the first film where he thoroughly talks about that in detail.
Yeah, that opening sequence is about 20-25 minutes long. It's incredible. Right. It really is.
But point being with Gladiator 2, because, well, I had a feeling, and even when I heard that, this did pretty well, but not as hugely successful as the first one. Because, of course, the sequel could not top off the first one.
No, it can't. But it was very well done, and it was a good follow-up.
Yeah.
So
the fact that this movie, it took so long for this to be made, but yet the timeline of this is 16 years later. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I expected and had a feeling that I was going to enjoy this, which I did. And man, because when it comes to Gladiator, the intenseful stuff that happens, and as we would have expected, yeah, Rome, once again, not coming at peace and being in the wrong hands and such, but with a new hero stepping in, just, yeah. I had a great time watching this. Did not disappoint for me, as I, along with others, enjoyed the first Gladiator film, and so on. But yeah, and by the way, because I mentioned that this was in the works, unbeknownst to a lot of us. In fact, I don't know if you knew this, when I did my research, this was in the works / in development and considered just 1 year after the first Gladiator film came out. However, one of the big problems was, well, in the first Gladiator film, we lost our big main hero, Maximus.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was one big problem. And as the years went by, and yeah, this was in development hell for quite a long time, but eventually when they got a writer, and in 2018 and from there on, starting to make good progress, and so on. All right, so now as always, for us, and you can take it from here, reading the description / the story / overview. Take it away.
Years after witnessing the death of Maximus at the hands of his uncle, Lucius must enter the Colosseum after the powerful emperors of Rome conquer his home. With rage in his heart and the future of the empire at stake, he looks to the past to find the strength and honor needed to return the glory of Rome to its people.
So there's that. So now that we've read the description / the story / overview, now, well, don't worry, I've already got I've already got that taken care of. So
good.
As I always do, I always have IMDb. But okay, so as I said, with that out of the way, description / story, let's dive in / break down the film itself, shall we? So, what are the first things we have to say? So obviously we have to talk about the opening. So
yeah, the opening was good because Lucius he is living in another country now,
and he goes by a different name.
He does.
Hano, I think.
Hano, yeah. And he's
and older Lucius being played by Paul Mescal.
Yes.
Yep.
He's a warrior.
And
he's not a general like his father was.
And he's a married man to Arishat. Yeah, being played by Yuval Gonin.
Yeah, and she's an archer in this army that he's a soldier in. And it's kind of strange to me that they allow the women to fight with the men, but they do. And
For me personally, I don't see what the big problem is.
They're invaded by Rome, a Roman army, and they come in on boats. And Pedro Pascal's character,
are led by
General Osseous is leading the attack. He ends up ordering his wife to be killed because she's shooting arrows from the tower.
Yeah. Well, he had no idea.
Killing a lot of
he
soldiers.
had no idea who that archer
who
female was,
but he orders her killed. She's killed, and
not just her, but all the other archers.
And of course, Lucius is left, a widow. His wife is dead. I thought it was interesting. He finds her body floating in the water, just on the other side of the gates.
Takes a ring,
and he takes the end. He breaks the end of the arrow off. That killed her,
that too.
And he keeps that with him, which I thought was unusual. But it was just his way. I guess it was a way of him remembering his rage.
Exactly. And General, how's his name pronounced again?
I call it Osseous.
Okay. These certain names, especially in the time and era of this kind of movie, it's hard to pronounce. But again, us sometimes, bear with us. But I think it's obvious, right? Because as the movie proceeds, and the more we learn about the general, we learn that, and we know that, and we can sense that at a certain point that, he hates being a part of this with the leadership of Rome.
Yeah, he hates the emperors.
I'm pretty sure he even hated what he had to do at the start of the film.
They're young men, and
they're twin emperors.
Twin emperors,
right there.
They're
Emperor Geta, played by Joseph Quinn, aka Human Torch, and Emperor Garsala, if I said that right?
Garsala.
Being played by Fred, what's his last name?
Hessinger.
Yeah.
And they're both...
Yeah, I was about to say, what say on the twin emperors?
Oh, they're sick and twisted. They have a lust for blood. They have a lust for death.
Now, wouldn't you say that...
They're not leaders at all.
No.
They're like spoiled brats, both of them.
Now, wouldn't you say they're far more worse than Commodus, or there's no top, or they cannot top off Commodus?
I don't think you can top Commodus.
You can't.
The difference between them and Commodus was sick. These two emperors,
he was
these
sick
two
and
twins
twisted.
Are sick and twisted. But Commodus was smarter.
Yeah.
He was more clever than these
even
two.
Though they do...
These two are idiots.
Yeah, all three, even though all three, they do share one thing in common. They're sick, twisted, and evil. Well, there's technically still a difference because, like you just said, Commodus was a smart, twisted man.
Yeah, he was
evil. But these two twins, just stupid-headed,
Yeah, I don't really think there was ever... I really don't know if there was ever an emperor of Rome who was really a good ruler, a fair ruler. I kind of think they were all ruthless.
Besides the one who would be the inspiration for Commodus, or kind of.
Commodus, he may have been not Commodus. Commodus was a real emperor, and his father, that name was a real emperor as well. Commodus was murdered in real life. His own people murdered him.
All right.
They tried to poison him, and that failed. And then they brought in a professional wrestler, to entertain him, and and it was a setup. The professional wrestler got a hold of him and killed him.
Yeah.
So that was the end of him.
Okay. But continuing on with the movie, because, after Lucius, Hanan is captured, and from there on, then eventually he would find his way to Rome, so...
Right, and you have a very interesting character in Denzel Washington's Macrinus, who's very cunning, very smart, but he also wants to take control of Rome. That is his ultimate goal. And he sees the opportunity to pit the one Caesar against the other.
Yeah.
Because they're so stupid they can be manipulated, and he does a very good job of it.
And Denzel Washington, of course, he's fantastic. Anything he's in, he's fantastic.
Oh, he's a fantastic actor. I absolutely love him.
Not to mention that this is the second time he's worked with Ridley Scott. The first time was in American Gangster,
right,
where he co-starred alongside with Maximus himself, Russell Crowe.
Right.
And Denzel Washington, to also mention this, he had also worked with Ridley's late brother, Tony, most prominently in Crimson Tide. So.
Right.
But yeah, just anything else to say on Denzel Washington in this?
Just
overall, he's fantastic.
He's fantastic
at playing evil.
Yeah,
despicable evil.
But he's not. He doesn't come across as evil at first. You're right.
He doesn't.
He's over the Gladiator. So
because he was in charge.
He shows mercy to Lucius,
and he was in charge of running the whole thing of Gladiators. Correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's. But you don't really see it until close to the end. You see him aligning himself to get himself in a position where he could take control.
Yeah, it's crazy. And to mention some of the other characters, because when Hanan and his wife was where they were at, and they were led by Jugurtha, if I said that right.
Was there?
Played by Peter Mensa.
Jugurtha. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Anything to say on that character?
He reminded me of someone, and I thought he may be the black man that was in the first one, but it wasn't. When he said, at the end of the movie, he says, "Someday I'll die, but not today," and he buries Maximus's figurines in the dirt for him, after he's dead, and he leaves, and I thought maybe that might be him, but I don't think it was. No. So he was an interesting character, but he was kind of a secondary character to the rest of them.
And speaking of which, because remember the other black character from the first Gladiator film? To answer your question as of now, you wondered if he was going to appear in Gladiator II. Well, of course he doesn't. In fact, I read where he wasn't able to due to scheduling conflicts.
Right.
I think the film turned out fine without his character.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I thought there was a scene when they did when the Gladiator, the Gladiators fought on a boat, on a ship in the middle of the Colosseum. Now it is a fact that during the Roman Empire they could flood the Colosseum with water and do simulated sea battles.
Yes.
And do practice tactical maneuvers and things at sea on these ships in this Colosseum. It was almost like it would fill up. It would be like a lake, just like you saw in the movie. That's what it was like in real life. And they had a way of filling it up with the water, bringing the water in. And it was quite it was these aqueducts that they could bring water in, and it was brilliant the way it was done. Brilliant engineering for that time.
Yes.
But that battle was amazing. Only thing I have to really say that would be a negative about that is about the whole movie. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh, come on. The sharks. I'm sorry. They didn't have a way.
Really? Because okay, let me just go ahead and say this: the sharks, because it's up to near I guess almost the third act of the film where we have these sharks, and when the games begin at Rome, the big arena. Is that best way to put it? Is that the best way to call it the big arena? Well, the sharks.
Colosseum.
Thank you, the Colosseum. But as a point being on the sharks for me, because. Didn't the sharks being added to the games, it didn't bother me. So besides, I guess these sharks that they have, being being raised or whatever to kill their victims and such.
I like an explanation. I like a logical explanation. There was no logical explanation for how they got those sharks in that water inside that Coliseum. I'm sorry. Now, if it was modern times, yeah, they could have trucked them in. They could have had them in an aquarium and all that.
Probably.
Where are they going to get an aquarium back then? They didn't have.
Maybe they probably found a way to level up the Coliseum or something. I don't know. But,
Well, you know what?
but overall, the sharks didn't bother me.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch, but it was still kind of like, oh, come on.
And while we're on that subject, still the game, like what's say on the games and with the gladiators,
Oh, the Gladiator games it was really, it was awesome. I love the fact that Lucius.
Yeah. Well, technically, he's technically the next Maximus, I guess.
He actually survived everything, which I loved because I was afraid he was going to die. Because I thought, they're going to do this just like they did Maximus, and I loved it.
That didn't occur to me. There's no way that he was going to die, Lucius.
Lucius. They should do. I would hope that there would be a way that they could do a third movie.
They're going to.
Oh, they are.
Yes, they are.
Oh, okay. That'll be
Ridley
neat.
Scott's working on that, but. Let's get back. Let's focus on Gladiator II, okay? Because also, like, the hairless apes, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
And Lucius Hammond biting on one of them, literally.
Oh, yeah, he bit his arm or his leg. I can't remember, but he just gave it right back to him.
Mm-hmm. And we can't forget to mention the other important characters like Lucilla. Thank you, Lucilla. Once again, being played by the beautiful, talented Connie Nielsen.
Yeah, and she was in the first one, and she has been, she has aged
a prime staple character in the franchise for one thing.
She has aged gracefully. She showed hardly any age at all, from what I could tell. I mean,
still beautiful as she appeared in the first film.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they did de-age her. Using
because there are
they showed that there was a flashback where she put Lucius on a horse.
In fact, that's something we find out and see the aftermath of when both Commodus and Maximus died. So
yeah, exactly.
Because she knows that her son will be hunted down and such.
Right. Uh-huh.
And man, that was devastating, wasn't it? And heartbreaking for him at a young age to be separated from his mother for such a long time.
Yeah, of course.
And all throughout those years and up to this movie, he technically changed, going by a different name. But anything else to say on Lucilla in this and with her, with what she has? Lucilla.
No.
Well, the one thing is, she is married by this point to the generals.
Yeah, married to General Cassius and
Cassius.
And Pedro Pascal, of course, plays General Cassius. So.
Yeah. Not to mention, we also have the return of Gracchus, if I said that right. Gracchus, once again being played by Derek Jacobi.
Mm-hmm.
And the other cast members, and I kind of kept forgetting at times Matt Lucas because he's the master of the ceremonies.
Well, there was a Senator Thrax who is played by Tim McKerney.
Yes,
and I kept looking at him. And we
can't forget to mention
him, and he played in an episode of Sherlock. He played in an episode of Sherlock, and it was the one called The Abominable Bride.
Yes, the Christmas episode.
The Christmas episode. He was the one who, he was taught the pips, and he was talking about, she says, what does it mean? He says, death. When he opens the envelope, and there's the pips are in there, he says, death. And then
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's him. And then one of them that was actually in, and I can't recall who it was, one of the senators who was in the first movie, and maybe you're talking about Gracchus, Derek Jacobi, that was in the first movie that I recognized instantly.
Yes,
and I said, oh my gosh, he's back. Had aged some, but he was still still good.
And there was a moment where they all came together, Gracchus, Lucilla, and the others, because they by this point, at a certain point in the film, they want to take back Rome.
Yeah, they do.
Even the general being involved in this too.
They want Rome to be a democracy, which it was intended to be. But you have crazy people that take up. There was a story that was actually in The Dark Knight, which is true, that Rome would appoint a citizen to stand guard. And it was their duty to stand guard at the gate of the city, to guard the city, and that apparently that is how the Caesar came into being, and then they didn't give up,
nice.
And then the Caesars never gave up power until they either died or were killed. You know.
Yeah, planned to be killed also.
Yeah.
But,
Julius Caesar was betrayed and killed by his friend Brutus.
Yes.
And, you know, just on.
Yeah. Also, I feel like mentioning this as well, Lucilla's late father, because he's brought up prominently at times in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from him and Maximus, of course, and the mentioning of the dream, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What say on the dream, you know?
Okay, refresh my memory.
Where Lucilla's father, the name of
Lucilla.
Lucilla's father was...
Keep saying Lucilla, it's Lucilla.
Okay, but the name of her father again, what was it again? Richard Harrison?
Yeah, Richard Harris's character was...
basically had a dream, like, you know, of what Rome should be like.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
Maximus,
dream. It wasn't a literal dream. It was a dream as in a vision.
Maximus trying to stick with that, you know?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that was not to be, sadly.
Yeah, at that time it wasn't.
No. Even 16 years later.
And I'm not really sure how the two Caesars that were twins, I'm not really sure how they came into power, but they were. It was just crazy that they allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Also, there is a moment where Hannon brings up a quote, "Gates of hell," you know?
Yeah.
"Are open night and day, smooth as the descent and easy as the way."
Smooth as the descent and easy as the way.
Right.
But to return and view the cheerful skies, in this the task and mighty labor lies. That was a really very interesting poem that he quoted. I thought it was very interesting.
Right, exactly. So, what are the other things we have to bring up about what else that goes on in Gladiator II? In fact, I kind of have this here too, the key moments. But, if obviously you can think better.
You know, Lucius is every bit as cunning a warrior as Maximus was, and
here's another thing, because.
And probably a little more brutal.
The movie itself, well, the characters and Lucilla, right? Am I saying it right?
Lucilla.
Thank you. Jeez Louise. Again, pardon us, guys, especially me. But saying to her son that Maximus is his father.
Yeah.
I mean, technically not really, but I mean, what do you make of it? Because...
Well, I don't know if he wasn't his father, because...
the first movie established whom... Lucius's father was, who died, you know, in battle, technically. So,
well,
not like fought alongside with Maximus, as I recall. So,
well, fought alongside, but I'm not so sure that Maximus was not the father of Lucius, literally. That there may have been a point when he and Lucilla were able to, you know, get together, and then Lucius would have been the product of that.
Yeah.
Of that, you know, getting together. I don't know, but it certainly led you to believe that Maximus was literally his father, and he reminded me of Maximus. His appearance, his stature.
Wearing the same kind of armor.
Yep, exactly, and a lot of their mannerisms were the same. And you saw when he would get down and pick up the dirt, you know, and that's when Lucilla noticed it. When she said, that's how she knew that was her son.
She recognized him after all these years,
and she recognized the fact and remembered, because if you recall, she had a flashback.
Yes.
Maximus getting down in the dirt. That's how I knew that Lucius, that was like the aha moment where, oh my gosh, that is Maximus's son. We just don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
That's his son.
Paul Mescal, not like, you know, wouldn't you say like Paul Mescal like was getting the mannerisms down of like Russell Crowe's Maximus, you know?
Yeah, I do. I think he was. I think he had a lot of them down. He reminded me of a young Russell Crowe, you know, and so I think they really did a good job on casting that.
Yeah.
And I hope he's in the sequel. I am sorry that Pedro Pascal's character, don't want to give too much away.
Well, we're going to get there in a moment, but
he was killed. He was killed.
We might as well bring that up now.
He died in an honorable way. He really did.
Because eventually the twin emperors and Denzel Washington's character, they found out about this.
Yeah.
They found out about the corruption and behind their back and such.
The treachery, as they would call it.
Exactly. Yes, that's the other word I was looking for.
You know, that they would betray, you know, the Rome and the you know, the so-called leadership of Rome, the two Caesars. But you know, it was, Denzel Washington's character, his goal all along was to take control.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if it was all along. I think he saw an opportunity and he seized it.
Best way to put it, at some point in the movie, it struck him to do so.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, the twin emperors, one of them, like, because can't forget to mention this, one of them had a pet monkey.
whom he made like the first. I don't want to say it was like the first assistant or whatever, but he was like the second in command after the Caesars.
And then Denzel Washington's character
was second after him.
Okay, yeah.
And
really, a monkey?
He didn't care. You could tell Denzel Washington. He had an agenda. He didn't care.
He encouraged them to applaud for the monkey. So.
He got as close to those Caesars as he could, and then he made his move.
Even one of the Caesars just being a handful, just going over the top, and the other one trying to calm him down. So.
And the one
at that point, when everybody in Rome has turned against them and wants them hanged.
If you recall, the older twin said of his younger twin, the one that was acting crazy, he told Denzel Washington's character, he said he had
that which being General Carcella. So.
Yeah, he had a burning in his loin, and it has spread to his brain.
Yes,
which means he had syphilis, which is a venereal disease that can spread to your brain. And if it does, it's over. You will eventually go mad. Very much like rabies. But syphilis is a very dangerous venereal disease. But that's what he had.
Yeah. Also, can't forget to mention another prominent character in this that actually is on Hannon's side, the Doctor, Ravi.
Yes.
Being played by Alexander Karam. Yeah.
Very interesting character. He was able to heal, and he healed Lucius's wound.
Yeah.
And explained it, that gladiators gladiators succumb to death more by their wounds than being outright killed in the Colosseum.
Right.
In battle, dying from infection and whatnot. So he was obviously very good at what he did.
Yes, and
very loyal too.
Exactly.
Very loyal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Lived to the end, which I liked. I don't like when some of these main characters get killed off. But I was very happy when, as much as I love Denzel Washington, I was very happy when Denzel Washington's character got killed.
Well, we'll mention that momentarily. But anything else important to mention, because we'll be getting up close to the third act.
I think we're
well. All right, but we obviously got to talk about what happens in the third act. Because the third games, like the games, are getting intense, and by the next days, and and again when the emperors, they find out, and Denzel Washington's character, that from Lucilla and the general and such, they've turned their backs, they've betrayed them, and even when there was a sword fight between the general and Hannon.
And they're going but they're going to, they decide to kill Lucilla. So they're going to, Lucius is the only one supposedly is the only one that's going to be able to defend her. Well, all these Roman soldiers come out, but they don't know that the rest of the gladiators are backing him up.
Because Hannon sent Ravi to take a ring of his that was once his grandfather's
and give it to the general there, and
which
explain to him where it came from, and he knew, and they all
knew right there and then.
They all rode. They headed to Rome.
Yeah, and that was, which general was that again?
That's a good question.
It's not that guy.
No.
Darius, I want to say. I think so. Because I think General would be in there, right?
Well, you would think, but I don't know.
Also, not to mention that there's one character that basically kind of gave away to the bad guys and the Emperor's Lucilla's servant. Yeah, because informing Tharix.
First. She was a rat.
Yeah, Letta, that's her name.
Yeah,
being played by Amira Ghazala.
Yeah,
so
she was just trying to curry favor.
I think it is Darius. And just in case I might put a text.
Not loyal at all to Lucilla.
Nope. But so good thing that the other gladiators are on their way shortly. Yep. But in fact, when at a certain point Hannon manages to break free, take a wooden sword, and all the other gladiators that are in their dungeon cells. Yeah, just
And escape.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, what say on the scenes were between Hannon and Lucilla, especially when, he feels hurt and betrayed by his mother, and telling her that your son is gone.
Yeah, it's pretty tense,
It is intense.
And you see where there's
you can
bitterness
and you can understand the pain he's going through.
Bitterness and resentment, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, you knew they were going to eventually come to terms.
Exactly.
But, of course, it's always at the end when it's too late, when she's dead.
I know. That's the sad part sometimes.
It is. It's the tragedy, and that's just how it works.
Yeah.
But that's the formula for a good movie, I hate to say.
But with that battle happening, and again, all the citizens of Rome, they've turned against everybody. In fact, when there's a moment where they do fight against the Rome soldiers.
Yes.
Which, by the way, the Rome soldiers, best way to know it's them, because some of their wardrobe is purple, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Roman soldiers were known to be brutal. They were. I mean,
of course.
They crucified Christ. They crucified hundreds of people, if not thousands of people. But it was a brutal, savage death.
Yes, it was. And even when, say, Denzel Washington's character kills off, the second twin emperor, which of course being Geta. No, actually, no, Garcella, sorry. Because Geta was killed a bit earlier, so.
Mm-hmm.
And, because Lucilla is supposed to be executed, and I was dreading this. And I'm sure that goes for a lot of you and anybody, and because how much of a great character she is. And yet, because obviously it was bound to happen, and it does, because we're Marcinus, am I saying that right still? Denzel's character?
Macrinus,
thank you. Where, he takes an arrow, strikes her through, the neck,
Oh, yeah. And kills her.
Yeah. Well, we don't see her die on screen. Because the last thing we see of her is tell her son to, what's it again, strength and
honor.
Yes, strength and honor. Thank you. Yeah, that. Telling her son not to forget that. And how did you feel about her death? The fact that she was killed off, technically off screen, because we don't see her just die.
And I was sad to see her die, but I fully expected it.
It's just one of those things that happens in certain movies like these.
Exactly.
That is how it is sometimes. But the climax and where, they all come together between the Romes and the gladiators, because that's what they're referred to, the gladiators, that are sent. Because they're called the gladiators.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they all come together, nobody fights each other, and they all halt. And when it comes down to Denzel's character and Hannon, now he goes back by Lucius.
Right.
Yeah, saying his full name, and what say on that fight between them?
It was pretty intense.
Yes, it was.
Pretty intense.
And when they get into a river.
Yeah, they get into the river, and he of course, he kills him, which I was like, yeah.
Well, actually, first, he chops off one of his hands.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. And then, kind of goes right here.
Yeah, slice it, and that was it. That finished him right there.
And then he just, he falls back, and,
falls back in the water and dies.
The water just takes his body with the pool of blood.
And then Lucius, you're not really sure what's going to happen because you've got Roman soldiers on both sides.
In fact, he was wearing Maximus's armer. And it saved him from not being stabbed by the sword.
It did. And he, at the end, we're standing there. Lucius is between the army of Rome and the soldiers that are now loyal to Lucius.
Mm-hmm.
But Lucius,
they now have to be.
He delivers a speech that brings them all together.
Yes, and they can possibly have that dream happen again.
Yeah.
Rebuild the dream, and they're all just I. So they all come to terms, peace, hopefully being restored in the future for Rome and from there on.
Right.
And the ending, just like how the first movie ended off, at the big palace, this what's it called again?
The palace.
Okay, just because just like how the first movie ended, where we see Lucius mother, and then father, speak to me or something, and grabbing some gravel, dirt,
exactly.
And what say on the ending? Cause
I thought it was very poetic. I did.
Yeah, Colosseum.
Yes,
yeah, Colosseum. Because like I said, just how the first movie ended with the Colosseum.
With the Colosseum, right.
And dawn, dusk, and such.
Yeah.
That was great. And also, wasn't it great the reuse of the way the movie re-showed footage of the first Gladiator film?
Oh yeah, it was very good.
And
yeah.
seeing Russell Crowe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, the opening credits was great too.
Yes.
The way the animation was.
I agree.
In fact, that's the same kind of animation style that's for Ridley Scott's film company logo, as I recall. Okay. I know the name of it, but I should know, but I can't place it. But
all right.
Yeah, but the ending was great. How Gladiator 2 ends off, it's fantastic.
All right, I'm going on a limb here.
All right, but final thoughts, we have to say, we'll start with you.
Well, final thoughts are this. Fantastic movie, fantastic follow-up to Gladiator. I'm looking forward to Gladiator 3 or whatever it will be called. Probably Gladiator 3.
Probably so.
With a subtitle, I'm sure. But I gotta give it 4.5 stars. I got to. I mean, I won't
4.5 stars.
I won't give it 5.
Because you did. Oh yeah, I almost forgot you did 5
because Gladiator gets 5. I got to take it down a notch, and I would almost go 4 3/4 stars, but I'll say 4.5 stars. Yeah,
but that's not. But
the only reason it doesn't get 5 stars, the sharks. That's the only reason I won't give it 5 stars.
All because of the sharks.
Yes, because there was no explanation for how they got those sharks into the Coliseum.
But that's not going to stop / affect you from enjoying it.
Oh no, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, because as for me, my final thoughts. Because okay, like I said earlier, it's very clear this cannot top off the first Gladiator film.
Right.
But that's not to say it was a bad sequel. As you said, it was a good follow-up, and what else did you say? A good follow-up and...
A good follow-up and I think it sets up the next movie. I really do. I think it sets up the tone for the next movie.
And it was great that we got Ridley Scott back directing the first sequel.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
But everything that Gladiator 2 had to offer, from its storyline, some returning characters, most of them that got killed, like Derek Jacobson and most prominently Lucilla. But, thankfully, Lucius did not die. The villains were fantastic. The visuals, the style, the return of the world of Gladiator was amazing. The music and score, the callbacks / flashbacks to the first Gladiator film, everything. The gruesomeness, the climax, the shocking moments, everything about it was fantastic. A really good, long-awaited sequel. And, you give it... How many?
4.5 stars.
4.5 stars.
So you do 0 to 10. What's yours?
I'd say probably. Well, what the heck? I'm giving this. I don't care. I'm giving this. 8 out of 10 stars. 8 out of 10 stars for Gladiator 2. That sounds about right, doesn't it?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
8 out of 10 stars. Yeah. So 4.5 for you, and for me, 8 out of 10. And what about you guys? What did you think of Gladiator 2 itself? Any of you that got to experience this in theaters? What you think of the first film? Did you enjoy it and think it was a pretty good sequel? Of course, could not top off the first Gladiator film. I'm sure you guys would probably agree to that. What were some of your favorite moments? Moments that you were just like, oh my gosh, and were you devastated by some of the death of the major characters, like prominently Lucilla? Any favorite lines, quotes, the callbacks to the first film, and, if you think this was a pretty well-deserved sequel we got, nobody expected nor asked, but hey, it was worth it, and if it's in your top favorite Ridley Scott films, and with what me and my dad had to say about Gladiator 2, our review, and what did you think of our review? Leave comments, and give this review video a like, as always. And with all that being said, guys, we thank you very much for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed our review of Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and we will see you guys in the next video / review. And with that being said, Ridley Scott Movie Week has come to a close. This was a lot of fun, and again, probably, saved the best for last doing this, and hey, thanks for joining in.
Enjoyed it.
Reviewing Gladiator 2.
Enjoyed it.
I'm glad we both did. And you can guys let us know too. And again, this was a lot of fun doing Ridley Scott Movie Week, the movies I've reviewed of Ridley Scott's, and I look forward to doing this again. So, again, we thank you so much for watching. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
He says that. He sometimes says I must be off, but you already said. For me, again, thank you so much. Take care, and until Gladiator 3 and the next Ridley Scott Movie Week, peace out.